6 more laps, guys.
Here in Rio, race leader Bobby Rahal looked a little lonely at the front of that group. Earlier I mentioned that the record was 5 different winners in consecutive races to start a season of the PPG Kart World Series. I was wrong about that. The record is 6. In 1991, John Andretti, Alonso Jr., Arie Luyendyk, Rick Mears, Michael Andretti, and Emerson Fittipaldi. We have had 4 different winners to begin the 1997 season. Of the top 10 in the running order right now with 95 laps complete of 133, only 2 of the top 10 runners have won earlier this year. Those being Paul Tracy in 2nd and Alex Zanardi in 7th. Bobby Rahal is the race leader. As you see, we could see our 5th different winner, putting us within 1 of the all-time mark for different winners to begin a season on the kart tour.
There's a couple guys in that group right there that haven't won them too. There was Brian Herta, Greg Moore, Gilles de Ferran. You know, they're right in there. They're not very far away from Bobby at the moment. And one thing you got to look at too is it depends on how hard that racing is. You know, to get that maximum number of laps that we're talking about, Bobby's going to have to run it pretty lean too.
Scott Pruitt is in and out as the pit strategy battle continues. Parker Johnstone also in and out. Max Pappas.
Don't forget, these guys have been kind of out of step all day, but they've got Jim McGee down there calling it. He's one of the smartest guys out there, for sure one of the most experienced. And Jim's going to do whatever it takes. And if they have one more yellow, he's in like Flint the whole way home.
Jim McGee is the winningest crew chief in series history. Jan Bikas.
Well, Danny, what they're talking about now, you're looking at Jim McGee talking to the kart officials. They feel that they came in, as did the Target Ganassi crew as well, that if they took fuel now, they could make it to the end. So that would lend us to believe that Bobby Rahal, no way could he make it if these guys pitted after Rahal and now decide to come in for fuel. As a matter of fact, I looked down pit road, and now everybody has caught on. They're all diving into the pits thinking they can make it to the end if they fuel now.
There you see Al Unser Jr. making his way toward the Penske pits. Bobby Rahal remains on the racetrack. Brian Herta has pitted. He comes down the pit lane with Mark Blundell wheel to wheel. We've seen a lot of that in the pit lane today.
Well, don't forget they've got that button there that says 60 miles an hour. They hold that on. So both of them are going maximum speed at 60.
Looking over the side as they do it. There's Roberto Moreno as he completes what could be his final stop of the day. And his car,
his engine was terrible sounding going out of the pits. It sounded like his engine had gone off song there as well.
A tad flatulent, I would say. Rahal, Tracy, and Moore running 1st, 2nd, and 3rd as we prepare for a green flag. Now Rahal begins to draw away.
Always trying a little snooker there, trying to find a way to, okay, I'm just warming up my tires, but here I go, just trying to jump a couple of car lengths so the guy can't get a run on you.
Green flag waves, and Bobby Rahal leads Paul Tracy as the 2 of them draw away from Greg Moore in 3rd. He's followed by Gilles de Ferran in 4th.
I'd say out of that Bobby Rahal and Paul Tracy knew what was going on. Greg Moore got caught a little bit napping.
Roberto Moreno goes by. A horrible sound from his engine. His teammate Michael Andretti is already out after engine problems throughout the race. As you watch Bobby Rahal with 70 races since his last win. He has now led 69 of the 98 laps, and more important than the point for leading the most laps is the fact that Rahal has led more laps in this race than he has in the last few years. The yellow is back out. And Michel Jourdain has spun and made contact with the tire wall. You see bits of his rear wing in the background.
But look how that wall at the top of your screen absorbed that impact.
Our 7th yellow flag of the day. We are back at Rio de Janeiro in round 5 of the PPG Kart World Series, the Rio 400. We are 1 lap from a green flag following our 7th caution of the day. Here's a look at our race summary with 102 laps complete, 31 remaining. The leader is Bobby Rahal, trying to end a 70-race winless drought. Green race average speed 158.676 miles an hour. 7 leaders, 11 lead changes. And as I mentioned, the 7 caution periods. Take a look at the cars out of the race. Michel Jourdain Jr., Roberto Moreno, Walter Salas, Juan Fangio, Michael Andretti with an engine problem. His teammate Moreno had the same. Mauricio Gugelmin in a big crash. Hiro Matsushita, Paul Jasper, and Art Meyer. Dario Franchitti, Adrian Fernandez, and Patrick Carpentier eliminated in a crash coming down to our first attempt to start this race. And with that, all of our rookie title contenders are out of this race, as well as the points leader Michael Andretti. So we could see a shuffling on the championship points table. Earlier I mentioned that our next stop will be the Motorola 300 from St. Louis. Next week, the Indy Lights teams will be in action as the headliners in Savannah, Georgia, the new Dixie Crystals Grand Prix at Savannah Harbor. Several of the teams of the kart series, including Forsyth, Tasman, and Team Green, will have Indy Lights teams there. The yellow flag is up. Bobby Rahal is there, and so is Paul Tracy right on his gearbox as we get back underway on lap 105.
Bobby took a very tight line in there, going down on the inside.
That left Paul Tracy with no opportunity to go down inside him, and now a couple of quick car lengths for Bobby Rahal as they head for turn 4. Now the teams will start counting down the laps along the pit wall. Rahal, Tracy, Moore, DeFerrin, Boisel, Hearn, Zanardi, Vassar, Pruitt, and P.J. Jones, your top 10.
I don't know why Paul's diving out like that unless there's a severe bump, or maybe he's trying to say to Bobby, hey, I'm down here looking, just to give him a fake. But that's a pretty severe dart out there, the way he pulled out to the left side.
Reynard against Penske chassis. Ford Cosworth against Mercedes engine. Both cars on Goodyear tires. But what a difference in their recent competitive history. Paul Tracy coming off a victory at Nazareth Speedway 2 weeks ago. Bobby Rahal hasn't been first to the checkered flag in 70 races, going back to the 1992 season.
Paul, of course, wants to stay as close as he can to get the draft, get that pull down there, that aerodynamic pull, because he feels his car's a little bit slower on the straightaway than some of the others.
On the backstretch, the car is bouncing along, almost a washboard effect. The rubber buildup on the bumps back there.
Yeah, the drivers say that that's all pretty rough section back there. That's why you see them all come off of the wall. They're trying to find the smoothest way around.
You ride with Gilles DeFerrin in 4th, Greg Moore in 3rd, just ahead. DeFerrin very close. Apologize for the quality of the audio from the in-cars. Once again, our pictures coming to us from Brazilian television network SBT. Bobby Rahal leads. Marty Reed can expand on his situation from the pits.
Yeah, and the worst thing that's happening right now is Paul Tracy's making him go faster, and that's eating up more fuel. They just missed the window. They needed 2.1 gallons on average. They are at 2.0, but now that we're back green, that is starting to slip on this load. So that means they need another yellow with some substantial laps if they're going to make this without having to pit again.
Two good battles. Tracy just behind Rahal for the lead, and this one, DeFerrin just behind Moore for 3rd.
Still sliding the car a little bit coming out of that turn 1 there. Just had the back end come around a little bit. He doesn't want to do that too much and eat up that tire.
And that red car just behind Gilles DeFerrin is Alex Zanardi, who started 26th in this race. He now runs in 5th place. Jan Beekes in the pit lane can tell us more about Paul Tracy. Apologize for the problem with Jan Beekes' mic as you watch Greg Moore in 3rd with Gilles DeFerrin and Alex Zanardi behind him, and then Raul Boesel. Zanardi on the left, Boesel on the right. Now Moore and DeFerrin. Big crowd on hand trying to will their Brazilian drivers on against the stars from North America. Here's Scott Pruitt attacking Jimmy Vasser for 7th. Tremendous G-force in turns 1 and 4. Driver being buffeted around in the cockpit. Once again in turn 3, Pruitt will attack, and it looks like he's got him. So Scott Pruitt is up to 7th and demotes the reigning PPG Cup champion to 8th. There's a look at Alex Zanardi. Presently in 5th place, moved up 21 positions from his spot on the starting grid. Look at the numbers on Zanardi. Started 26th. By about lap 10, he was up to 14th. And then you see his progression through the most recent laps dotted with yellow flags. And he is closing up on Gilles DeFerrin. As the sun set last night, we talked with Zanardi and his engineer Mo Nunn in the garage area. And Zanardi was just bubbling. He said, I'm coming through this field. I know we're going to get this electrical problem fixed, and I'm moving up.
Yeah, he was very pumped up, thought he had a good car. He actually thought he had a car good enough to challenge for the pole position. Unfortunately, he never got the opportunity to have a go.
Down to the pits in Jan Bikas.
Well, it sounds like we're able to communicate this time, Bob. I just wanted to kind of reset how Paul Tracy was able to get to 2nd place. Of course, he picked up a few spots when they all pitted at the same time and had that nice drag race leaving the pits, but then he also was able to pass Greg Moore on the racetrack. Now the crew is waiting along with the other crews to find out if they will have to bring him on pit road for fuel. But they feel that they pitted about the same time as Bobby Rahal. So right now, everyone watching the telemetry very closely to figure out if he will need a splash and go.
All right, thank you, Jan. Well, interval's starting to open up just a little bit, Danny.
Yeah, let me tell you what's going on, though. Everybody's hoping for a yellow, so they don't have to stop. But if they don't get that, of course, everybody's going to wait until the opportune time to dive in there and take a splash. They'll time how much fuel they put in it just to get them to the finish and go back out. They'll probably put a little cushion in there.
And they're going to want to be the only one in when they do, so that they have that pit lane open to them on the dash back to the racetrack. There is Bobby Rahal, the all-time leader in starts in the series. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back at the Emerson Fittipaldi Speedway at the Nelson Piquet Autodromo in Rio de Janeiro. Welcome back to the Rio 400. I'm Bob Varsha with Danny Sullivan. Bobby Rahal leads Paul Tracy, Greg Moore, and there you see Gilles DeFerrin at the bottom of your screen running 4th with Alex Zanardi, who started 26th just behind him. Working lap number 116 as we head towards 133. 18 laps to go. The question is, who has the fuel and who doesn't?
A lot of questions right now. How much mixture do you run? Do you run it lean? Do you run it richer? Do you figure you're going to have to make a stop? And everybody's racing for position, so nobody can slack off here. It's not like anybody can lean it down a whole lot. They might get passed.
You ride with Scott Pruitt in a car that elicits a few cheers here in Brazil, sponsored by a Brazilian brewery, Brahma. He has his teammate Raul Boesel just ahead of him. They run 6th and 7th. Bobby Rahal continues to lead. Marty Reed, what can he tell us?
Well, I just talked to Jimmy Prescott, crew chief, and he says, we are going to go for it. He says, yeah, Tracy's going to have to stop, but he doesn't think that the Brahma cars are, and that would be big trouble for him. So they are rolling the dice right now, and they know they still need some yellow.
Well, let me tell you, they'll tell you that they're going to go for it. I'm not so sure they're going to tell you every time straight. And if that little warning light comes on, they're not going to throw away a good finish without diving into the pits.
Rahal and Tracy. Now with points leader Michael Andretti out, he came in with a 4-point lead over Scott Pruitt in the championship. Pruitt currently runs in 7th position. Paul Tracy just 2 points behind Scott Pruitt. Tracy is second and stands to gain the most from the current running order. You see the battle for first place, the time differential between Rahal and Tracy over the last 3 laps. Alex Zanardi comes in just 2 points behind Paul Tracy, 4th in points. Zanardi is in 5th place, so we could see a substantial shuffling of the PPG Cup Points Championship after today.
But I can tell you, that guy that's out there leading the field, Bobby Rahal, he's not concerned about points right now. He's a smart guy. He always goes for points, but at this point, he wants that victory. It's been 70 races since he's won one. He's hungry for that victory. He's going to be awful tough these last 15 laps. And he's a thinking guy. He's going to make the right strategy call. And Jimmy Preston has been with him for many a year and many a championship.
Rahal comes into this 5th round of the championship in 13th place. In his 15-year career in the series, he's never been out of the top 10 when it came time to hand out the trophies at the banquet. All-time leader in starts, 234 and counting, and the only owner-driver in the series.
Bobby's been in this position a lot of times before, but it's been a while, so he's going to have to dig down deep to draw on some experience, but he's got a lot. And don't forget, he's not just thinking about Paul Tracy right there in his mirrors. He's also trying to juggle what to do with the fuel mixture. Am I going to have to stop? What are we going to have to do? He's got a lot of things going through his mind.
13 laps of this 1.8-mile circuit to go for Bobby Rahal, Paul Tracy, and the field.
Bobby seems to be quicker down in the turns 1 and 2 into the field. Paul seems to close up on him on 3 and 4. But Bobby seems to run pretty fast down the straightaway. Paul Tracy and Allenser Jr. were both complaining a little bit that their cars weren't as fast as they'd like on the straightaway. So see, he's got to get right behind him like this, even a little closer, to get that draft to have a chance to pass him.
The grandstands are full and the exits are empty. Nobody is leaving this one with 12 laps to go as Paul Tracy closes up on race leader Bobby Rahal.
Remember one other thing, these teams don't just calculate what they're doing, they are trying to figure out whether Paul Tracy's going to have to make a stop as well.
And there you see the calculations going on in Bobby Rahal's pit. Marty Reed is there.
Guys, they just had a powwow, and they're saying we're a half a liter short on the computer, but the computer could be wrong. And I'm telling you, Danny, they're telling me they're going for it. They are not planning on bringing him in.
Rahal and Tracy. As you mentioned, the other teams are calculating all this as well. I wonder if it's a part of Paul Tracy's strategy to just sit and wait, thinking maybe he will go the conservative route, make the splash and go.
I don't know if Paul Tracy's very conservative. Now, I don't know about the guy that's calling it in the pits, but Paul looks like he's trying very hard there. And if he does have to make a stop, he wants to get in front of him and get as much ground on him as possible for that pit stop.
10 laps to go next time by the flag stand. Rahal and Tracy with Greg Moore in 3rd. We'll take a quick timeout and return for the run to the checkered flag. Stand by for more from the Rio 400. This finish is going to be a classic. Back at Rio with 10 laps to go. Greg Moore on the left, Gilles de Ferran on the right, running 3rd and 4th behind Bobby Rahal and Paul Tracy. Alex Zanardi right there in 5th and closing on de Ferran to the pits and Jan Binkas.
Well, Clive Howell is the man on the other end of the radio to Paul Tracy. The conversation has been, Paul, we need to get some points. So he's letting Paul make the decision how hard to push Rahal, but of course at the same time they're trying to save fuel like everyone else. So it's a tough road, especially when you have someone close behind you like Greg Moore.
See, this is the exciting thing. These guys are trying to race, and they're feeding them with all this information about fuel and what to do, and they're trying to make a calculation out there, and all they really want to do is go racing. And these guys in the pits are changing their minds all the time as they see how much fuel's being used.
We talk about points. This finish could also affect the Nations Cup, a battle between the nationalities of drivers in the series. 10 countries represented. the highest scoring finisher from each country scores points toward the Nation Cup. U.S. drivers lead. Bobby Rahal, of course, is an American. Paul Tracy in second. Greg Moore in third are Canadians, and they are battling with the Americans for the lead of the Nations Cup. Gil de Ferran, of course, is Brazilian. Alex Zanardi in fifth is Italian. So right now, the Nations Cup lead could very much be at stake between the American Rahal and the Canadian Tracy. Coming around to complete lap 126. There will be 7 laps to go this time by. And Rahal has opened the lead slightly over Tracy. Artie Reed, what's going on in the Rahal pits?
Well, I'm watching them, and they're shaking their head side to side. They know that the computer keeps telling them they can't make it, but they refuse to come in. And this is trauma, guys. These guys are sweating bullets. And, you know, you're asking perhaps what Bobby Rahal's doing. Oh, wait a minute. They just saw some big puff of smoke down the front straightaway, and they've got their hopes up that there might be a yellow here.
There is no yellow flag. Car number 98, Juan Fangio, has pulled off. It appears that his Toyota engine has expired, but he has pulled off the racetrack and across the pit exit, so he is well off the racing line. There you see him. It was Fangio 2 weeks ago in Nazareth whose engine let go and brought out the yellow with 4 laps remaining, handing the victory to Paul Tracy. Now Paul Tracy runs in second as Fangio pulls off once again. Let's see what we can learn from Jan Bikas.
Well, the strategy here in Penske right now, they're radioing to Paul, tell him, keep the pressure on Rahal, but conserve fuel. So they're not sure they'll be able to pass Bobby Rahal, but they're hoping that maybe they can run Bobby Rahal out of fuel by making him drive faster than he really wants to. So the strategy right now, push Rahal, see if you can run him out of fuel, at the same time, save your own fuel by getting in the draft.
I got to ask you a question. How do you do that? Because you got to run fast too. I mean, you know, there's only 2 places to break down there. I mean, that's a tough assignment, and not use up your own fuel.
It is, Danny, and you know, I think they're asking him to do just that. Brake later, go through the corners faster, but save fuel and put the pressure on him, because he knows if he can close in and get close enough to get an aerodynamic advantage, he can save just that much more fuel. See, as he goes into the corners, he's giving it everything he can to try and close that gap.
Correction, it was Fangio's teammate DJ Jones who parked his Toyota at the side of the racetrack. Same difference. Coming around to complete lap 130, we will have 3 laps to go next time by.
Do you notice something here too? That Bobby Rahal and Paul Tracy have really stretched out over the battle for third between Greg Moore, Gil de Ferran, and Alex Zanardi. So maybe those guys are playing the most conservative game.
They see them all lined up just behind the leaders.
And I shouldn't cut Scott Pruitt out of it, because he's right at the back of that group as well.
3 laps to go. Rahal and Tracy, 2 to go next time by. Jan Bikas.
Well, you know, guys, this could also be a battle for the mechanics to find out who has the best fuel pickup, because it's not how much fuel you have in the tank, it's if you can actually get it out of the tank. So these guys obviously know there's going to be only fumes left in both cars, but whose car can pick it up? Here are the last couple of laps.
And the gap closes up as the Penske team looks on. Tracy looking for his second victory in a row. We have a car slow into the pit lane. Is that Gil de Ferran? Yes, it is. De Ferran pits.
He's out of fuel if he's going that slow.
Well under the pit speed limit. And the gap opens up more for Bobby Rahal. There will be 1 lap to go next time by.
Whoa,
and Rahal slows.
Slow, and Paul Tracy really dove up underneath him.
The engine must be sputtering for Rahal, who slows dramatically.
Oh.
Tracy comes by with 1 to go.
Oh, Bobby rolled the dice.
What heartbreak for Bobby Rahal and his team as the white flag waves over Paul Tracy.
But Paul Tracy's still running in there too. And Greg Moore's now closing a little bit on him.
Rahal in the pits for the splash and go. He'll try to get back into this race. They plug the starter at the back in case he needs it. Will we have a fifth different winner, or will Paul Tracy make it to the checkered flag for his second straight? Tracy went 27 races without a win 2 weeks ago in Nazareth, 20 for the Penske team, and now it appears they will take 2 in a row as Paul Tracy survives a spin to win the Rio 400. Second place unofficially Greg Moore, third Scott Pruitt. The checkers waves just as Bobby Rahal heads back onto the racetrack following the splash and go. What disappointment for Rahal. Exhilaration for Team Penske.
What a race. What a race.
Oh my. Moore finishes second and Scott Pruitt comes home third. Let's get down to Marty Reed and Team Rahal's pit.
Yeah, the disappointment is just unbelievable. You guys rolled the dice, brave move, but one lap short.
Yeah, I mean, the meter was off a little bit, and we had to gamble. We had to go for it, and it didn't pay off, so. But, I mean, what can you say?
I can say one thing, it was a heck of a run, and we enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, we had a great car, and too bad we missed just by 1 lap, so we'll get them next race.
2 weeks, guys. That's when they get them again.
And that's the attitude you want to have. We know we've got the car now. We'll go get him. As Paul Tracy pulls into Parc Fermé, followed by Greg Moore and Scott Pruitt. What a day for Paul Tracy. Consecutive victories about 6,000 miles apart.